5 years ago, I was 22 and naive. My sister's wedding was the biggest event of the year. Lan wanted everything perfect, grand, unforgettable. My parents said, "Family helps family, you'll understand." They smiled like generosity was my only purpose. I had just been accepted into graduate school. My savings were small but mine, earned through struggle. Mom called it temporary support. Dad said, "She's your sister, be proud to help her." Their voices carried the weight of obligation. So I wrote the check. $15,000 gone in a single moment. Lan's dress cost more than my car. The reception was held at a country club. People toasted her beauty, her success, her fairy tale. No one saw me clearing plates after the party. I told myself it didn't matter. That love meant sacrifice. That one day, they would remember what I gave. But the truth is, they never did. When I couldn't afford tuition, Mom said, "Next semester." Next semester became never. I watched my dreams fade behind someone else's spotlight. Lan sent me pictures from her honeymoon in Greece. Her smile was wide, her captions full of gratitude. But not once did she thank me. When I asked to borrow a little back for classes, she said money and relationships should stay separate. I laughed then, pretending it didn't sting. At home, the dynamics stayed the same. Lan made messes, Mom cleaned them, Dad excused them. And I stood in the corner, quiet, dependable, invisible. Every birthday turned into her announcement day. Every success of mine became a reminder of her failure. Mom said, "Don't make her feel bad by shining too bright." So I dimmed my own light to keep the peace. I worked 2 jobs to stay afloat. Marketing intern by day, waitress by night. I told myself independence was enough. But every paycheck carried their fingerprints. When my friends got promotions or traveled abroad, I smiled, nodded, and stayed behind. They thought I was selfless. I was just trapped. The worst part was believing I deserved it. That being the good daughter meant endless giving. That love was proven through suffering. Therapy came later, years later. A stranger finally said, "You've been manipulated." The words cracked something open inside me. Still, habits die slow. Even now, I feel guilty for thinking of myself. When Mom calls, I answer before the first ring. When Lan texts, I say yes automatically. Until today. Until that voice behind the door. Until I realized they still see me as the same fool. The one who pays, obeys, and disappears quietly. Not anymore. 5 years of silence end now. I can feel the anger rising, not wild but steady. It's the kind that builds foundations, not burns bridges. I pick up my phone, staring at the cracked screen. The reflection looks unfamiliar, stronger somehow. Maybe this is what freedom looks like before it begins. Dinner that night felt rehearsed from the start. The table was set with the good china, the warning sign. Mom's voice was too cheerful, her smile too tight. "Just a small family discussion," she said lightly. Lan arrived late, glowing as always, phone in hand. Dad poured wine like it was a celebration. I knew then something was coming. Mom cleared her throat and began her speech. "We've been thinking about your big day," she said. Lan placed a folder on the table, pink tabs everywhere. "What if we combine your wedding with my anniversary?" Her tone made it sound like a favor. "One beautiful celebration, 2 special occasions," Mom added. My fork paused halfway to my mouth. They were serious. Lan flipped open her folder, pages full of color swatches. "I already made a list of vendors," she continued proudly. "Separate cakes, of course, but matching colors for continuity." Dad nodded as if the deal was done. Mom reached for my hand, smiling sweetly. "Think how lovely it will be, dear. Your sister deserves recognition, and you can share the joy." Her words tasted like manipulation coated in honey. I set my fork down slowly. "What about expenses? I asked quietly. Dad chuckled. You've always been responsible, Thur. We trust you to handle the finances again. My pulse quickened, but I kept my voice calm. I'll need time to think about it. The silence after that was heavy, disbelieving. Lan blinked like she'd heard wrong. Think about it, she repeated, her tone sharp. Mom's smile faltered for the first time. Dad patted my shoulder like I was a child. You're overthinking. Family comes first. I looked at Lan's flawless nails, tapping the folder edge. She didn't even try to hide her smirk. They expected the same answer as always, yes. But the word stayed stuck in my throat. I forced a smile, pretending to agree. Inside, my heart hardened like stone. After dinner, I watched them laugh in the living room. Their comfort depended on my silence. I excused myself and stepped outside into the cold. The air bit at my skin, sharp and cleansing. I took out my phone and texted Long. They're planning to merge the weddings, I wrote. His reply came seconds later. We expected this. Stay calm. I looked back at the glowing windows, silhouettes moving. To them, I was predictable, controllable, safe. But this time, I wouldn't play their part. That night, I sat in my car and stared at the dark. I thought about all the times I'd said yes. Every sacrifice disguised as love. Every apology for wanting something of my own. The stars above blurred through my tears. Then I wiped my face and opened a new note on my phone. At the top, I typed one line, Plan for Freedom. The letters looked small, but they felt enormous. For the first time, I wasn't the victim of their story. I was about to rewrite it. The next morning, I returned to my parents' house. They thought I came to drop off invitations. In truth, I came for evidence. The house smelled of coffee and control. Dad's study door was unlocked, as always. The computer screen glowed faintly in the dim light. My heart pounded as I sat down. Emails opened easily. No password change, same arrogance. Subject line, vendor payments Thur. Mom's message was calm, confident, entitled. Don't worry, Lan. Thur will cover the deposits. Attached were receipts for catering, flowers, and a DJ. My credit card number was on all of them. A chill ran through me, part rage, part disbelief. I scrolled further, my breath shallow. There it was, a dress order placed 3 days ago. Not mine. Lan's second wedding gown, charged to me. The email even had a note, same color as Thur's dress. I laughed quietly, the sound hollow and cracked. This wasn't family. This was exploitation disguised as love. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Long's name lit up the screen. Did you find anything? He asked. They're planning everything behind my back, I said. They're using my card, again. His voice turned sharp. That's fraud, Thur, save everything. So I did. Screenshots, photos, every email, every receipt. Each click felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. On Dad's desk sat a photo from Lan's wedding day. I stared at my smiling face beside hers. The perfect daughter, the perfect fool. I turned the frame down. When I left, I didn't look back. That evening, I met Long at a cafe downtown. He had already ordered tea for me, like always. I can't believe them, I said, shaking my head. He took my hand. You don't owe them anything. They'll say it's about family, I whispered. He nodded. Then remind them what real family means. I smiled faintly. Boundaries. He squeezed my hand. Exactly. Later that night, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake replaying every manipulation, every guilt trip. Mom's tears, Dad's sighs, Lan's practiced helplessness. All of it, a cycle designed to keep me small. Not anymore. I opened my laptop and started a folder labeled Freedom. Inside, I saved all the evidence. Emails, photos, statements, everything. Then I made a list of steps. Lan showed up at the bridal boutique 2 days later. Her heels clicked against the marble floor like warnings. Mom trailed behind her, pretending it was coincidence. I was trying on a simple ivory gown, calm and quiet. Lan's reflection appeared in the mirror behind me. "It's a bit plain, isn't it?" she said, smirking. "Nothing like my Vera Wang." Mom laughed softly, that same condescending tone. "Don't worry, dear. We'll help you find something prettier." Before I could respond, Lan reached for champagne. Her arm jerked, deliberate, graceful, cruel. The red liquid splashed across my dress. The stain bloomed like blood on white silk. "Oh no," she gasped theatrically. "I'm so clumsy." The boutique fell silent. The owner rushed forward with club soda and panic. Lan smiled behind her hand. I stood perfectly still, breathing through the fury. Mom touched my shoulder gently. "This must be a sign," she said, false sympathy dripping. "Maybe something that matches Lan's color palette." Something inside me hardened completely. I turned to the mirror, met my own eyes, and saw steel. This wasn't humiliation, it was confirmation. They would never change. I left the boutique without a word. Outside, Long was waiting in the car. He saw the stain and his jaw clenched. "They did it on purpose," he said quietly. I nodded once. "I'm done playing nice." That night, I stayed up writing a new plan. We called it Plan B. It wasn't revenge, it was protection. At the next family meeting, I would act compliant. I would let them believe they'd won. But every signature would belong to them, not me. Every expense would trace back to their accounts. They wanted control. I'd give them all of it legally. Dinner came sooner than I expected. Dad was already excited about a new venue. "Rosehill Estate," he said proudly. "Perfect for both events." I smiled softly. "If you think it's right, I trust you." Mom beamed. "That's my good girl." Lan added, "Just don't make it too simple this time." I laughed politely, hiding the tremor in my chest. The next day, we met the manager at Rosehill. Crystal chandeliers, marble floors, a fairy tale built on debt. Dad handed me the pen. "Sign, and it's official." I shook my head. Long and I signed together, always. Their smiles froze mid-performance. "But of course," the manager said quickly. The contract passed from Dad's hand to mine. I read every line, slow, deliberate. Under responsible parties, I wrote only their names. Mom noticed too late. Her eyes flickered, a brief shadow of realization. Lan whispered, "What are you doing?" "Just following the family tradition," I said softly. When the papers were signed, I felt lighter. That night, Long and I sat at the kitchen table. He poured wine and smiled. "You just saved our future." I exhaled, trembling and steady at once. "Not just ours," I said. "I saved myself." Outside, the city hummed, unaware of the quiet revolution. Inside, I finally felt what power truly sounded like: silence. The morning of the ceremony arrived bright and cold. Lan's messages started before sunrise. "Be there by 11, were the pearl earrings I picked." I muted the phone and set it face down. Long brewed coffee in the kitchen, calm and unbothered. "Are you ready?" he asked. "More than ever," I said, pulling on my white sundress. No train, no corset, no borrowed approval. Just simplicity and breath. Jessica arrived first, carrying wildflowers and mischief. She winked. "Everything's ready by the lake." Outside, the sky was soft and open. Our friends strung fairy lights between birch trees. Music hummed low from a small speaker. This was the wedding I'd dreamed of in silence. No drama, no hierarchy, only peace. At 10, I sent the first fake update. Running a bit late but so excited, I texted my family. 3 emojis followed: bride, heart, champagne. Mom replied instantly, "Everyone's arriving, don't be late." I smiled, imagining the chaos building at Rosehill. 200 guests, 1 missing bride. Lan must have been packing by now, furious. Jessica laughed as she checked her phone. They're posting photos already. It's a circus. Long raised his coffee cup. To freedom. We toasted quietly under the trees. At 10:45, I sent another staged message. Hair done, makeup next, running 30 minutes behind. Dad's reply came fast. The minister leaves at 3. Lan followed. You're ruining everything. I turned my phone off. Silence, finally silence. Jessica helped me adjust the small lace veil. You sure about this? She whispered. Yes, I said, completely. At noon, the ceremony began. 20 friends stood around us, sunlight warming the grass. Long's hands trembled as he took mine. His eyes held no doubt, no hesitation. When we said our vows, it felt like exhaling years of pain. No one interrupted. No one demanded attention. Just honesty and air. When Long kissed me, the lake shimmered like applause. Jessica wiped her eyes. Best rebellion ever, she said. Across town, Rosehill was falling apart. The manager presented my parents with the bill. $63,000. The contract bore their signatures, not mine. The guests whispered, confused and restless. Lan's face must have gone pale. She had expected control, not consequence. While they panicked, we cut a small homemade cake. Vanilla and strawberries, nothing fancy. Long's mother hugged me tight. You did the brave thing. For the first time, I believed her. As evening fell, laughter drifted across the lake. Lan's world was collapsing somewhere behind me. But I didn't need to see it. Freedom doesn't need witnesses. Later, under the fairy lights, Long whispered, You look at peace. I smiled, because I am. The night ended with our friends singing softly. No grand speeches, no fake tears, no lies. Just truth, quiet and clear, shimmering like water. It was the simplest day of my life, and the most powerful one. The doorbell rang at 10 the next morning. Long looked up from his laptop and met my eyes. They're here, he said softly. I nodded, already expecting the storm. When I opened the door, Mom stood there crying. Dad's jaw was locked tight, fury in every line. Lan hovered behind them, her expression half rage, half disbelief. How could you do this to us? Mom sobbed. After everything we've done for you. I stepped aside and gestured toward the living room. Come in, I said calmly. They entered like mourners at a funeral. Dad didn't sit. You're legally responsible for that bill. His voice was sharp, desperate. Lan crossed her arms. You humiliated me in front of everyone. I placed a leather folder on the table. Inside were printouts, screenshots, bank statements. I've been expecting this conversation, I said. Mom frowned. What is all this? I pressed play on my phone. Lan's recorded voice filled the room. She'll pay for everything, just like before. Then the sound of their laughter followed. Mom's face turned pale, Dad's eyes widened. Recording people is illegal, he barked. Not in this state, Long said from the doorway. He joined me, calm and steady. Dad looked from him to me, confused and cornered. These are the charges made with my card, I continued. Here's the confirmation for the second wedding dress. Lan's lips parted, but no words came out. Her confidence was cracking. Mom tried to reach for the papers, trembling. The venue manager said you agreed. I have the email where I clarified my limit, I interrupted. $6,000 and nothing more. I handed her the printed exchange. The silence was heavy, sharp, final. Dad's face turned gray. We can't pay $57,000. That's between you and Rosehill, I said quietly. Lan slammed her hand on the table. This is revenge, she shouted. No, I said, looking directly at her. This is accountability. For the first time, she had no comeback. Long placed his hand on my shoulder. You took their game and played it better, he whispered. Dad turned away, muttering curses under his breath. Mom sank onto the couch, mascara streaking down her cheeks. "Why would you do this to your own family?" she cried. "I didn't," I said softly. "You did this to yourselves." Lan's husband had followed them quietly, unnoticed. Now he stepped forward, eyes wide with realization. "So you did the same thing to her 5 years ago?" he asked. Lan's silence was her confession. Mom stared at the floor, Dad at the wall. Their unity crumbled right in front of me. I walked to the door and opened it. "You can leave now," I said. "My real family is coming soon." They gathered their things in awkward silence. Lan paused at the threshold, eyes glassy. "You actually won," she whispered. "No," I replied. "I finally stopped losing." The door closed with a soft click behind them. Long wrapped his arms around me from behind. "You okay?" he asked. I smiled faintly. "I'm free." And for the first time, I meant it. A year passed quietly, filled with light instead of noise. Our small house smelled of cinnamon and peace. Long cooked while I arranged flowers on the table. The photo on the mantel showed us laughing by the lake. No luxury, no audience, just truth captured in sunlight. The doorbell rang, and I already knew who it was. Lan stood outside, smaller than I remembered. No makeup, no arrogance, just tired eyes. "I came to apologize," she said softly. Her voice no longer carried that sharp edge. I stepped aside and nodded. "Come in." She told me about therapy, about learning boundaries. She said Mom was trying to change too. For the first time, I believed her. Long joined us with tea and a quiet smile. The room felt lighter, forgiving but still firm. When Lan left, she hugged me gently, not to manipulate but to mean it. Later, Long handed me a small gift box. Inside was our framed $6,000 receipt. The words engraved beneath it read, "The price of freedom." I smiled and whispered, "Worth every penny." Outside, the wind was calm. Inside, I finally understood peace doesn't need permission.